Hello, my crafty friends. It's Michelle, the Southern Shell, and I am here with a talented creators collaboration. This is an open playlist with Aurea, with DIY with Aurea, and Loli with Loli D's Creations. They have asked me to guest host with them this month on these fall DIYs. There will be links to their channels in my description box below, as well as the playlist to the other creators in this collaboration. Guys, let's just jump right on into project number 1. I can't wait to share this with you. I am so happy with the way it turned out. All right, y'all, we're going to get started with this IOD transfer book. It's called Santa's Hollow, and it has fall and Christmas items in it, which is perfect for what I'm working on here. I have this wood square that I've had in my basement for a while, and I had to clean that up a little bit because it was a little dusty. I came in with some school glue, and I just put a layer of school glue all over this board. I'm using the school glue here to create a crackle effect. So I'm going to come in with my chalk paint and plaster, but I'm going to dry this just a tad first. I'm going to just hit this with my heat gun to make the super wet go away. And I want this to be still wet, but I want it to be tacky. Now I'm going to put a layer of my paint over the top of this. I don't want my paint to mix with that glue. I want it to lay on top of the glue. And then I'm going to hit it again with my heat gun, and it's going to start that crackle effect. And I'm going to set it aside and let it fully dry. Now I'm going to come in with my Mod Podge, and I'm going to go ahead and do a seal on this. This is just going to help those cracks that I've created not to chip away with anything else. I'm going to go ahead and cut out my transfers here. I'm going to put one of these birds on the top and the other set on the bottom. And then I'm going to come in with some air dry clay first. I'm going to create some leaves because I wanted this sign to actually have a 3D effect. So I'm going to open this IOD clay and I'm going to just condition it. And then I have those two planks there that are what I use to roll my clay out in between so that I know the clay is even all the way across. So I just line it up there and use that rolling pin to just pull it across. I'm laying those little leaf imprints on top of that clay, pressing it down in there. And then I'm just going to come in with a razor blade. This is a clay blade. And I'm going to just cut around it. Now I'm just going to press those in there a little bit more and set them off to the side. I don't need them right away, but I do want them pressed in there so that they have a little bit more definition when I pull them off of their mold. Now I'm laying down my IOD transfer, and I'm using a little burnishing tool to burnish that on down there. I put the bottom one on first, and then I turned my board upside down, and I'm laying the top bird on. I'm using my stick just to measure and make sure I've got them even in there. Once they're all down, I take my Titebond Quick and Thick glue and put it on the back pieces of my clay here. It is still not completely dry, but it is a little bit more sturdy to move around at this point. And so I'm just putting that on the back and laying those down where I want them. Here I'm taking a little bit of cornstarch, and I have this little itty bitty leaf mold, and I'm just going to fill all these with my clay so I can put some different little leaves all over my board. I use some damp finger technique on the top of this, and that's just going to rub any extra clay off in a way that I don't need. Now I just can turn it upside down and use gravity to help me kind of poke those little leaves out. The detail on these is absolutely stunning. I love the way these turned out. I'm going to come back in with my Titebond Quick and Thick, and I'm going to glue these all down to my board as well. Now I wanted some more definition in those larger leaves, so I just came in with a clay tool and just lifted some edges up and just manipulated those leaves around. And then I found out where I wanted those others to go and glued them on down. Now here I'm using some different colors of my DIY paint, and I'm just layering different colors on here so that I can just have them look like fall leaves. I'll put one color on first, and then I'm going to come in with another. I think it was the salt. I'll put them on the screen. And then the mint, and then the coral, and then I came back in with some of my wax. So here I'm just adding some of that coral on the top of that. And now I'm coming in with my dark wax. I use some of that sunshine. And once those are all done, I can buff them out. And now they look just like um, old leaves that have fallen that are in different stages of decomposing. Is that the right term that I'm using there? Um, they're browning and turning, and just look at the way they turned out. I really like this. This picture doesn't do it justice at all. Before we move on, I would like to remind you to check out these wonderful ladies in the description box below. Their channels will be linked along with a playlist with all of the other creators that are participating in this collaboration. Thank you, ladies, so much for taking time and let's move on to project number 2 and 3. This was really fun to do. It was the first time doing this, and I really wanted to see how this would turn out, and I will be making more. The things we are going to need are some rolls, tissue rolls, paper rolls. I have some oils here, and I have some candle dye. And of course, my candle wax, my beeswax is actually heating up in my little candle maker so that it can be ready for the next step. The next item I have here is my plaster of Paris. So I'm going to take the plaster of Paris, I'm going to mix that up, and I am going to just stuff it in the bottom of some of these tubes. I found this process easier to do with my hand, so I just put a glove on, reached on in there, and mixed it up. I'm going to now just take this, separate it, and add some color, not a lot, to each part, to 2 different parts of my plaster of Paris. I used some metallic brown and some metallic gold, just a little bit in each one to change the color of this plaster of Paris. It didn't change it quite enough, but it was enough for me for what I was looking for. Now, as I'm working here, you can see the thickness in the cup is much. It has a thicker consistency. Plaster of Paris dries pretty quick. It is, I think you have a working time of 6 to 8 minutes, and then you can actually demold it. So for me, this was actually pretty good because I knew I could move along with this particular craft without spending all day on drying cement. So this here is actually, they remind me of glitter, but it's just really thick and chunky. And I have different colors here. I have the different silvers and golds and bronze. So I took some that I already were open in my bag, and I'm just picking some of those out and laying them right on top of the plaster of Paris in my tubes here. Once I get them in there, I'm going to use this little sponge dauber here and press them down into that plaster of Paris. Now I wanted I wanted to have a lot in there. I wanted it to, when we looked at it from the side, that you could see it looked like maybe some gold peeking out of the side of a cave or something to that effect. So I checked my plaster of Paris and it was hardened. I have this candle dye, which has 32 colors in it. It came with some wicks stickers, and they are highly concentrated, non-toxic, and oil-based. I used orange and garnet in this because of the scent that I used from my bakery set of pumpkin pecan waffle. Now, I can't tell you how much I actually put in here. These were coming out in little drops. I've not yet played with candle aromas much yet, and so I'm still learning on this process. But it took quite a bit for me to add in there to get the smell and the aroma that I wanted. Once I got the scent in there, I came back with my color now. I'm starting with the garnet, and I think that is just really pretty, nice and deep. I added a little bit more of that scent oil, and I am mixing that, smelling it, and just keep going here. It's trial and error for me at this point. And until I, try this a few times, I'm not going to have precise measurements quite yet for me. Now, I did come in with my candle wicks here, and I'm putting them in upside down. Because I have that plaster of Paris in there, I do not have a flat bottom to actually attach the wicks to. So I'm putting them in upside down using my little holders across the top of my tubes so that as I pour this in there, it will solidify and hold my wicks up where they need to be. So I'm just going to add a little to each of my little tubes here right now. I have more candle wax still melting, and I wanted to do some different colors as I worked on this. I brought in my second cup, and I'm still using the same smells, same oil. I'm going to add that in there, and this one I'm going to use the color orange so that I have some different colors throughout my candle making process here. I will add orange, pour some, add some garnet, and pour some so that I just have multiple different colors as my candles are setting. All right, so my candles are now set, and I'm coming in with a spray bottle, and I'm spritzing that cardboard tube with some water so that I can easily pull these off of my new candles. I can't wait for you to see how these turned out. I make sure, you can see here, it's like I did spritz it, but it wasn't all coming off real easy. So here we go. I've let it spray, and let's pull this down. And this will pull right off that candle so easy. Over where the plaster of Paris is, I do need to spritz it some more. And then I can just use my fingers to rub that cardboard away. So here I come in with just some more of my water and just spritz it really well. And now I can come right in and rub off that leftover cardboard all over my candles. So once that was set, I went ahead and took my UV resin, laid it in more of the cracks in my plaster of Paris there, filled in with some of the loose gold and silver pieces, and then propped it right on up under my UV light for 100, I think it was 90 seconds is all it needed for this. Once that was done, I hit the candles with my little heat gun here, just enough to get any of the wrinkles or creases out from the tissue rolls that it was formed in. This worked wonderful. So I have these little labels I put on the bottom, which are just your warning labels for candles. Unfortunately, if you're selling stuff, you need to have that kind of stuff on your products. I now took some twine, and it was 28 inches. I cut three 28-inch pieces of twine and tied them around, wrapped it around and tied it into a regular, simple shoestring bow on the front of that candle, wherever I wanted the stones, what I thought would be the prettiest area where the stones were shining, and tied that on there. Once that was done, I went ahead and moved on because I had some leftover wax. I went ahead and filled it into one of my little candle holders here, and I used another IOD transfer and attached it to the front of my candle jar. Now, this is a metal jar, and it was, messing with the curvature and going around. I also not only brought it around the whole curvature of the jar, but also up and over the top of the lid. So it did take me a little while to maneuver and just to get this all down there and lined up. I created some little tags that had the scent of the candles, and I just printed those out. And then I went ahead and took some packing paper, crumbled it up into a little ball, and then stretched it out. I went ahead and just used some of a glue stick here and glued those tag pieces on top of my brown wrapping paper. And then I trimmed those out to create tags for each of my candles. Once those were all trimmed out, I used my Mementos Terracotta and went ahead and just inked the edges of those tags to give them a little bit of definition to kind of match the type of decor I was creating here. Now the tags are going to be removed, as they burn them, but they'll at least know what the scent is. And of course it has my YouTube name on it so that they can follow me. They can find me on YouTube and follow me after they purchased, hopefully. So I'm going to just take each one of those tags and I'm going to use my scissors to poke a little hole in there. And I used a skewer to widen the hole so that my jute would fit through there nicely. I'm just going to bring it right on around this candle and just tie it in a little knot. Once I get the first tie down, I'm going to add another one in there, and before I tighten that, I'm going to slide my pick berries right on in there and then tighten it down. I will go ahead and knot over the top of that nice and tight, and then I will adjust as needed. And I do end up turning these berries around so that you have more of the color of the orange towards the front. There we have it. And then I'm going to trim off any extra of that jute. And that candle is now ready. And there you have it, my friends. Here are the project I made for the Talented Creators collaboration with Aurea and Loli. Their channels are linked below, as well as the playlist with all the collaborators, with all the creators who have joined this collaboration. Oh my word. Guys, tell me what you think. Did you like these projects? Which was your favorite? What do you think about the candles? I know they're a little crooked, but I think working on them, I think I can make some more of those in different colors, and especially for Christmas, for my craft shows. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you spending time with me. I know how precious it is. Guys, if you've not subscribed to my channel, I do hope you will consider doing so by hitting that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification if you want to know when I've uploaded a new video. YouTube should notify you as soon as that video has gone live. Give me a comment below and hit that like button. That does help my channel go out to others who may enjoy this video as much as you did. Thank you so much for joining me, and as always, stay safe, God bless, and bye for now.